Other news we're tracking for you, a survey conducted by Consulta has shown that citizen satisfaction and trust in their local municipality remains at an all-time low. Major metros are struggling to meet residents' service delivery expectations. The Citizen Satisfaction Index comes as Parliament wraps up local government week. Water and electricity supply, rubbish disposal, road maintenance, clean streets and suburbs, and reliable billing information, just some of the areas residents feel that municipalities are failing. But let's get you some more details on this survey. We're joined now by Head of Client Insights at Consulta, Ineke Prinsloo. Ineke, good morning. Thanks so much for your time this morning on the AM report. Ironic that government is wrapping up local government week, in fact, as this survey, the results of the survey as well comes to light. So the survey showing that none of the major metros managed to meet residents' expectations of service delivery.
Thank you and good morning, Michelle. It's an absolute privilege to be on the show. And yes, the timing of the report. Consulta, we are a small consultancy that this is our investment into government and local government, and we run this survey for the last 6-7 years. It is based on a model that's been used across the world. It's actually done in 23 countries where local government is given feedback, or citizens are marking the scorecard of the local governments. And in the latest review, we have seen that the downward trend over the last 5 years of the metro's performance have shown a slight uptick, but there are certainly areas where citizens still feel that the local governments are not performing as they expect.
So let's take a closer look at some of the major metros. According to your survey, Cape Town once again emerging as the best performing metro. That's on overall citizen satisfaction. Just take us through, how these surveys are conducted in terms of the people who are spoken to and how this is measured in terms of satisfaction.
So what we do, we survey rightly the 8 major metropolitan municipalities. Then we interview about 3,000 people randomly selected, and according to the Stats SA, the representativity of that totality of the population in the municipality. They then randomly contacted and selected to be part of the survey. Then this is a model, as I said, that has been running since 1996 in the United States, and we basically ask the citizens, relative to your expectation, how is the municipality performing on certain key areas, which are basic services. And I always say we had a forum yesterday with Selga and some of the local governments. It's really, we can argue that basic services are enshrined in our constitution. But local government needs to think about citizens as their customers. Customers have an expectation. They have a monetary exchange with you for something they expect. Citizens are just putting that electoral and that financial capital investment into local governments, and they expect value exchange. They expect basic services to be delivered. And that's essentially what the index measures.
I see here it says a major contributor to the below par performance is the negative perception of reliability of services. And I just wonder how much of a role load shedding plays in this negative perception.
Well, from the perspective of a citizen, there's really, I expect you to deliver the service, and reliability is such a key factor because it talks to, does this product work the way I expected it to work? Does it work consistently? And yes, encompassed in that is the electricity. Encompassing that is water. I think your previous interview, very interesting, talked about the water security. In this particular index, all of the main metros did mark out fairly well, not all of them, fairly well on provision of clean water, which was not the case 2 years ago on the index. So what we do is we also rank what is the most important thing to citizens. 20% of citizens said that garbage removal, refuse removal is the most important thing, and it scores very, very low. Thereafter, it's the maintenance and fixing of roads, which also scored very low. And then interesting, the provision of clean water, 17% of people said that's important. 2 years ago, if we had this interview, I would have said to you, 20% of people said that's important, and actually the trend's declining. We can see that there's a definitely, and aligned to your previous interview, there's definitely this focus on provision of water. It's not fixed yet, but that focus on that. And lastly, it's around parks and recreation. We think about people and their well-being. After COVID, it's about well-being. We have economic well-being, which is the investment. We have the environmental well-being, which is the parks, the roads, it's the provision of the services, and then the human well-being. And that's what local government needs to look at, because that's the medical facilities. It's the facilities where there's parks and recreation and clean spaces. So if you have all of this, citizens are back to basics. Garbage removal, roads, clean spaces to live and work in, and make sure I have water.
So it's very interesting here. I'm just taking a look at some of the key findings in the survey. It says local government structures are the only sphere of government where our constitution actually clearly stipulates a mandate for local government. What happens with the results of your survey in terms of how much government does engage with it?
This is really the citizens that are marking the scorecard of the local municipalities. So we do engage with the different bodies. We actually were invited to engage onto a forum yesterday where we looked at the procurement and turning around procurement in government. So the survey is really serving as that objective scorecard measured by the citizens. And I say to the forum yesterday, I said, there's many things. We aspire to be smart cities and green cities. Follow citizens back first to basics. Yep. And then we can do.
I hope we still have you on the line, Ineke. I want to just talk to you as we wrap up our interview about how interesting it is, the findings of your survey, and how it really does line up with the AG's report that we saw released just a couple of weeks ago.
AG's report certainly looks at the financial spend, and there was a lot of feedback that has been given around the procurement. This is just the outflow. It lines up, but it's the outflow showing out the pain points where citizens are feeling it, where there are failures. So there's not a 100% direct correlation, but you can see in the downstream, typically what you would have with a customer value chain, when there's at the source the wrong focus, and that comes through from the AG report, you will see downstream the services will not be delivered. Actually, interestingly enough, some of the survey, there's the Blue Drop report that is done through the Department of Water and Sanitation. We actually compared the satisfaction scores on that Blue Drop report, and Ekurhuleni and City of Johannesburg on that report that municipalities use, and our report has got exactly the same scores. It's got exactly the same difference, a 0.2 difference. So it corroborates actually the findings. Citizens are marking scorecard exactly what municipalities know.
Incredible survey. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us some detail on the outcomes of the survey. Ineke Prinsloo is Head of Client Services at Consulta. The Citizen Satisfaction Index, and that is, of course, as Parliament wraps up Local Government Week, ironically, this week.